dust red everywhere. A young girl, Ilara, coughed, her small hand shielding her eyes. The spaceship lay shattered, a metal carcass against the unforgiving landscape. She was alone, lost. Fear, raw and consuming, threatened to drown her. Tears welled, hot and stinging, blurring the already hazy horizon. Survival. The word echoed in her mind, a beacon in the swirling chaos. Her small chin lifted, a spark of defiance igniting within her. She would survive, for her family, for herself. Across the desolate plains, cloaked in the shadows of a jagged rock formation, a figure stirred. Xylar, his forearms crossed stoically, observed the crash site. His mission was clear: protect the child. Her arrival, though a disaster, was foretold. He was her guardian, bound by ancient law. He wasn't human. His skin, a deep sapphire, shimmered under the double suns. His eyes, large and obsidian black, held a depth of wisdom beyond his years. "Patience," he muttered, his voice a low rumble. She must find her strength first. Days bled into nights, each one hotter than the last. The twin suns beat down mercilessly, turning the sand into shimmering sheets of molten gold. Ilara, her lips parched and cracked, stumbled through the endless dunes. Her once bright clothes, now torn and covered in red dust, offered little protection. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, a constant ache that mirrored the emptiness in her heart. Yet she pressed on, fueled by a desperate hope and the will to live. Each footprint she left behind was quickly erased by the shifting sands, a constant reminder of the transient nature of her existence in this unforgiving world. Water. The word was a constant drumbeat in Ilara's mind. Her throat felt like sandpaper, each breath a struggle. Hallucinations danced at the edge of her vision, taunting her with the promise of shimmering oasis. She stumbled, falling to her knees. Despair threatened to engulf her. Was this the end? Would her journey end here, swallowed by the endless expanse of red sand? Suddenly a low growl echoed through the air. Her heart pounded. Was it another hallucination, or a creature of this desolate world, drawn to her weakness? Her hand instinctively reached for a sharp piece of metal from the wreckage, her only weapon in this unforgiving land. Fear, sharp and primal, coursed through her veins, but so did a fierce determination to survive. The creature emerged from the dust cloud, its form shifting and rippling in the heat haze. Ilara, her breath caught in her throat, raised her makeshift weapon. It was him, the blue alien. His eyes, like polished black stones, held hers. There was no malice in them, only a deep, ancient sadness. He extended a hand, his long blue fingers tipped with sharp claws. In his other hand he held a canteen fashioned from some strange alien metal. Water sloshed within, a sound that sent a jolt of longing through her. Ilara hesitated, her instincts screaming at her to flee. But the thirst, the overwhelming need for water, outweighed her fear. Slowly she lowered her weapon and took a tentative step towards him. The wind howled, a furious beast unleashed upon the desert. Sand, whipped into a frenzy, lashed against Xylar and Ilara as they huddled together for shelter behind a rocky outcrop. Visibility was reduced to mere inches. The air tasted metallic, gritty. Ilara, her small frame buffeted by the wind, clung to Xylar's side, seeking solace in his unexpected presence. He had spoken little since their encounter, his deep voice a low rumble against the roar of the storm. Yet his presence was a comfort, a bulwark against the fury of the desert. He was her protector, her guide through this alien landscape. And for the first time since the crash, Ilara allowed herself a flicker of hope. They would survive this, together. The storm raged for what felt like an eternity, finally subsiding as quickly as it had begun. The winds howled and the sands whipped through the air, creating a scene of chaos and fury. It was as if the desert itself was alive, expressing its anger in a violent outburst. A heavy silence descended, broken only by the whisper of the wind. The once tumultuous landscape now lay still, as if holding its breath. The air was thick with the scent of dust and the remnants of the storm. Ilara emerged from their shelter, blinking against the harsh sunlight. Her eyes took a moment to adjust to the brightness, the world outside seeming almost surreal after the darkness of the storm. The landscape, reshaped by the storm, seemed both familiar and alien. The dunes had shifted, creating new patterns and forms. It was a reminder of the desert's ever-changing nature, a place of both beauty and danger. Zila, his blue skin dusted with red sand, handed her a strip of dried meat. His eyes, though weary, held a spark of determination. They had survived another storm, but the journey was far from over. It wasn't much, but it was food. In this harsh environment, every morsel was precious. They had learned to appreciate the small things, to find strength in the little victories. She ate slowly, savouring each bite, her gaze never leaving their surroundings. The desert was unpredictable, and they had to stay vigilant. Every shadow, every movement could mean danger or opportunity. Where are we going?" she finally asked, her voice hoarse. The question hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty and hope. He pointed towards the horizon where a range of mountains, barely visible in the shimmering heat haze, pierced the sky. Those mountains represented a promise, a destination that held the key to their survival. "There," he said, his voice a low rumble. "Our hope lies there." It was a simple statement, but it carried the weight of their dreams and the promise of a better future. The journey to the mountains was fraught with danger. Each step on the treacherous path could mean the difference between life and death. The rugged terrain was unforgiving, and the desert mountain trail seemed to stretch endlessly before them. The sun beat down relentlessly, its scorching rays turning the barren landscape into a furnace. The heat was oppressive, sapping their strength and making every movement a struggle, and the wind, though calmer, still carried the threat of another storm. The desert windstorms were fierce, whipping up sand and reducing visibility to almost nothing. The storm clouds on the horizon were a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked in this harsh environment. Zila, his strength seemingly inexhaustible, protected Ilara from the worst of the elements. He hunted for food, using his keen senses to track down elusive prey. His presence was a beacon of hope in the desolate landscape. Found hidden springs of water, their cool, refreshing liquid a lifeline in the arid desert. These hidden oases were few and far between, but Zila's instincts never failed him, and navigated the treacherous terrain with an innate understanding of the land. His ability to read the landscape was uncanny, allowing them to avoid the most dangerous areas and find the safest paths. One evening, as they huddled together for warmth beneath a sky ablaze with stars, the vastness of the universe seemed to envelop them. The night was calm, and the stars shone brightly, offering a moment of peace in their arduous journey. Ilara noticed a change in Zila. His usually calm demeanor was replaced with a sense of urgency. She could see it in his eyes, a flicker of something she couldn't quite understand. He stared at the sky, his black eyes filled with a strange light. It was as if he was seeing something far beyond the stars, something that only he could perceive. "They are coming," he said, his voice filled with a mixture of relief and sadness. The weight of his words hung in the air, and Ilara felt a shiver run down her spine. Ilara followed his gaze and gasped. The sight that met her eyes was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A fleet of spaceships, their hulls shimmering like iridescent beetles, descended from the heavens, their lights casting an eerie glow on the desert floor. The ships moved with a grace that belied their size, a testament to the advanced technology of their creators, their arrival heralded by a low, humming sound. The hum resonated through the air, a sound that was both alien and strangely comforting. It was the sound of hope, of rescue from above. The arrival of the alien ships marked the end of Ilara's ordeal. She had been wandering the harsh desert for days, her strength waning with each passing hour. The sight of the alien ships descending from the sky was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. She had heard stories of these visitors, but never imagined she would encounter them herself. She was taken aboard, her small hand engulfed in Zila's large blue one. The warmth of his touch was a stark contrast to the cold, unfeeling desert she had just left behind. Zila, with his towering presence and gentle demeanor, was unlike any being she had ever met. His eyes, deep and reflective, seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. They stood on the bridge of the lead ship, gazing at the receding planet. The vastness of space stretched out before them, a canvas of stars and galaxies. Ilara felt a mix of relief and sadness as she watched her home fade into the distance. The planet, with its red deserts and endless horizons, had been her prison and her sanctuary. The red dust, once a symbol of fear and despair, now held a strange beauty, a testament to her resilience. Each grain of sand told a story of survival, of battles fought and won. The desert had been unforgiving, but it had also been a place of growth and transformation for Ilara. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. The words seemed inadequate to express the depth of her gratitude. Zila had not only saved her life, but had given her hope when she had none. His presence was a beacon of light in her darkest moments. Zila nodded, his black eyes reflecting the swirling nebulas outside. In those eyes, Ilara saw a promise of new beginnings, of adventures yet to come. The bond they had forged in the fires of adversity was unbreakable, a connection that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. "You are strong, little one," he said, "stronger than you know." His words were a balm to her soul, a reminder of the strength she had discovered within herself. The trials she had faced had not broken her, they had made her stronger, more resilient. As the ships disappeared into the vastness of space, Ilara knew one thing for certain. Her journey was far from over. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, and she was ready to face whatever came next. With Xylar by her side, she felt invincible. The desert had tested her, broken her, and ultimately forged a bond between her and her alien savior that would last a lifetime. Each step she had taken in the red sands had led her to this moment, to this new beginning. Their journey together had come to an end, but the memories, like the red dust of that distant planet, would forever remain etched upon her heart. The lessons she had learned, the strength she had gained, and the bond she had formed with Xylar would guide her in the days to come. The stars awaited, and Ilara was ready to embrace her destiny.